Hi, I'm Matt Collins. I'd like to welcome you to Bob Weber Auto Mart on Douglas Avenue here in Racine, across from Douglas Park. We specialize in 1-year-old, low mileage, almost new cars. And if you'd like to stop by and see them, or see them on our website, bobweberautomart.com, we could save you between $5,000 and $10,000 on your next almost new car purchase.
Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies, where we talk Preps basketball. And this week, as special guest with myself, Sparky Fifer from Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. Over there is Gery Woelfel. You know him as the guy that wants Aaron Rodgers to be a man. That's Gery Woelfel, the Racine Journal-Times. And in the middle is a man himself.
Anything for a rating, huh?
Yeah, right.
You can tell this guy's in radio. The producer runs a gambling operation at the Times website now.
Coach Betker from Racine Park joins us here today. Coach, thanks for coming in.
No problem. I appreciate you having me.
You know, from time to time, we have different guys in here, and I get accused of, not accused, I'm pretty much
here we go.
About how I am.
Here we go.
Maybe man crushes on certain guys and so forth.
Right.
Gery Woelfel has a man crush on Park. Just in general, he just...
Good man. He's
he does.
You know what's funny about this? He picks me up at my house on the way down here, right?
Sure.
And we start talking about that you're going to be on blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, you got your Park t-shirt on? And I go, wait a second. I have I'm objective.
No, you're right. I'm biased.
I like 90% of the coaches in all the skills. I really do. I think there's some really good people that are coaching in this community. But for whatever reason, and it's all about perception, right?
Right.
I'm a Park guy, you know? So
I've done these videos with you. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, there is, because I'm not. I mean, I do like him, but I don't like Park anymore.
Well, the Park basketball bumper stickers should have been.
That
was enough.
There you go. See, there we go. It's being perpetuated. Yeah,
exactly. Let's talk about the Southeast Conference this year. Obviously, on your side of things, on the boys' side of things, who are the top 2-3 teams that you like in the Southeast Conference?
They do a preseason poll, and they had us in the middle of the pack. You come back with Case, and obviously they're going to make a great run. Those kids have been together. This is their year. I truly believe when you talk about, you look at a group that come in as freshmen and say, but this group's going to be special. I think for Case, that was a situation a few years back with Jackson and Clark and Pinson came in behind those two, our juniors, but Trice. Those guys came in, and you look at that group and say, man, that by the time they're seniors, that'll be a special crew for them. So they were the lead, as in the favorites. They went undefeated last year with the conference tournament. Conference season. They come back with everybody, for the most part.
And Clark looks really improved from a year ago. He's a beast. He's a big dude.
He's a big body, You can't teach size. We always talk about that. You can't teach size and speed. But Case was, I'd assume everybody in the conference would pick Case, to be the favorites in the conference. Horlick was going to be good coming into this year.
What a tough break. I mean, how as a coach, when Jason Tretler, the Horlick coach, has two really good players, Bowie, who went to St. Catherine's, and there's a kid that Bunch, who transferred to a school in St. Louis.
Right.
I mean, two of your starters, two key players, and man, they're gone.
Yeah, Bunch was close to 7 foot. You can't teach size like we just said.
Yeah.
But they still have the nucleus. They had a very good JV team last year. I think they'll do very well in the conference.
I agree.
ITA, they started that program 4 years ago, and I look, we played them the other night. 4 years ago, we lost to them as freshmen. Split as sophomores, split as juniors. This senior class that I have now, we had a tough game down there. They shoot the ball extremely well. They have a couple kids with size, probably about 6'5", wide body, a couple football players. And the shots, if we could have made layups like they made 3 points, I think we would have been on the other end. But, I like our team. I think we're kind of flying low on the radar. Struggled last year record-wise. But the experience that these kids gained, I find my team very competitive. And I mentioned that to you earlier in the year that I felt like, I'm not going to tell you how many wins we'll have, but I definitely feel like, each and every night we're going to see a product out there fighting and competing and, looking for the victories.
Sure. Well, before the season, I picked you guys as the sleeper in the conference. And obviously you don't have the talent that Case has. But I like your team a lot, and I became even more impressed when you played Case last week at Park. I don't know if you heard about this, Steve. But you guys had them on the ropes. I mean, right down the end. You could have conceivably won that game. You lost by 2 points.
Right.
But the one thing I like about your team is, and it's been a trademark of your teams, they play hard. I mean, they compete. And that, as a coach, that's all you can ask for.
Hey, like I said, coaches want to win. I mean, no one's out there to lose a game. So we're out there, giving our best effort as coach and staff. The kids giving us their best effort, and I thought we had a great effort. What a great game to be part of last week.
That was an awesome game.
And I know Case has got a lot of talent. I like our team. I do like our team, and I'm not going to say we're going to win games or lose games, but I tell you right now, I expect our kids to compete every time we take the floor.
Yeah, what's interesting too? They came back with a vengeance the other night. They took,
oh, yeah.
they played, did you hear about this? They played Kenosha Bradford, right? Guess what the score was in the middle of the second quarter?
What?
40-0.
Well,
I don't know how good Bradford is. I mean, they're respectable.
they're down this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Coach
But
James.
40-0. Have you ever heard of that?
No, not in.
I've never heard of that.
Not in the
Not-
boys,
at least not around here.
Boys basketball. No, and we played Bradford. That was who we opened up with, and I guarantee they would have struggled with their size because
Yeah.
they didn't have quite the size to defend. And
Sure.
but yeah, not to put a point on the board, that's pretty darn tough to do, and credit to Case to keep them
Yeah.
off the scoreboard. But
They took out their frustrations out.
their head coach, good friend of mine, Coach James, took a job right at the beginning of the school year in September at Western
Wow.
Illinois. So he's an assistant coach at Western Illinois.
For the
Dane.
what?
Great guy.
Yeah,
Great guy.
outstanding guy. In
I've talked
fact,
to him a couple times.
my buddy, one of my kids, Melvin Bedford, that had the heart attack. We got to get him in that last game of the season. It was against Bradford, and I called
wow.
Damon up right away to
Oh,
say,
okay, gotcha.
"Hey, is this going to work?" And he said, "For sure, let him get on the court,
Yeah,
let him
well, that's
score."
good.
And so, anyways, class act guy, but he might be sleeping a little bit better where he's at right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough, no question about it. So for those people that don't know, obviously you're coaching the high school team.
Correct.
But then there's other stuff going on as well, namely Caron Butler back in town now for the Milwaukee Bucks as well. And how does that play in, having him back in town, but actually back in town during the school year and the whole deal?
For me personally, as a fan of his, as a former teacher, I think it's great for the city of Racine. It's great for Park High School, great for the community, great for Milwaukee. I'm sure the Bucks are a little frustrated with the way their season has started, but what a class
He isn't,
act.
though. He's on the
Lottery, get a lottery.
Yeah, he's hitting that class.
Well, those guys are young. I'll tell you right now, I like the rookie from Greece. He played last night.
Yeah, nice.
I think there's an upside, and when you're struggling like that, what a great time to get a guy minutes to learn as you're going, because right now where the record's at with some injuries, Caron's out, bothered by his knee, and I'm thinking right here, get the minutes there, get the experience. But I agree, if they have a struggle this year, it'd be nice to see a nice draft pick, because that class is going to be very tough.
You talk about Caron and what he means, obviously, for Park and what he means for the city of Racine. I can't come up with another guy, maybe you two can, because I'm not from Racine, obviously, that does as much community outreach in the past as much as Caron Butler does.
Well, he did Thanksgiving. I know he gave out hundreds of meals. Meals, not just, I'm taking full turkeys, the desserts, the sides, and the coats. They have a program that they are allowed to give back to the Bucks through him, tickets. I've taken a couple Optimist teams up there, the Park team, and it's just what a great way to give back to the community. Always very approachable. To me, I don't think he sees himself as a superstar, which he is. And, you can easily approach a guy. And like I said, I love him dearly, and I'm just so proud of what he's done and what he's continued to do and what he does for the community.
Yeah, we could talk for hours about Caron Butler and what he's done around the community. But my favorite thing is every summer, and I don't know if you know this, Steve, or not, but he gets a semi, and it comes into the middle of the city, right? And he opens up the doors, and it's all bikes. And they take out one bike at a time, and they give them to all the kids, in the community. And it's awesome. I mean, the smiles on these kids' faces is incredible. Because a lot of them never had a bike,
Sure. And the coach for Caron, he used to do, and I don't know if that's still, but he's done it plenty of years where he gives back to winter coach during the
exactly.
During the
No,
holiday.
he's done an incredible amount of things.
He might have to stop by my house on the way there, taking my son.
Right,
The 5 kids are crying. Remember,
There you go.
We're talking with Coach Betker from Racine Park here on Sports Junkies, our Preps basketball edition. You talk about having the kids. So you're not only coaching high school basketball, you're coaching other teams too?
My 3 oldest are an optimist, so I just feel like, you're coaching high school, I'd like to do it for my own kids. So I get home kind of walking like a zombie and have my wife tell me where the laundry room is. And
how is that coach, kid relationship when coach is a dad? Because I've heard so many different stories about how it can be great, but it also can be horrible at the same time. I've heard one friend of mine who was a coach told me that as soon as they walked into the house, it was done, and he went back to being dad. But until they got in the house, he was coach. And once they got in the house, it was over, and he went back to being dad. So the kid had to put up with whatever he had to say in the car the whole way home. But once they got home, it was over.
I've had people say, hey, make sure, once the game's done, it's done. I try to tell the other parents, the kids on the team, don't worry, we go to counseling after the games. Yeah. I see some tears on the ground. I see a lot of people looking at Dad, and it's my kids love the game, and I love to see, my wife support, me and the kids, and they're just all a part of it. And
well, she's got to be good cop when they're upset at you for something that happened. Then
I think there's a little maybe on my side is with her because I think she's pretty competitive too. So.
Oh no,
they're getting it from both.
Oh my goodness!
So and Grandpa helps coach a couple of teams too. So they're getting bombarded the kids. So like I said, we got therapy sessions probably once a week for each kid. But no, we try to have good with it. My kids are diehard Park fans, and it's they're always talking about what they're going to do when they get to high school.
Oh, that's cool. Right.
We've had the discussion already at 8 and 10. We beat a team, and my discussion was, you're now in the top 8. You won't be on the court, and it's going to be tough because for me as a coach personally, my kids all give me great effort, and unfortunately, not all kids can play. And at the varsity level, you're looking to put some wins together and put a productive, competitive team out there, and it's hard sometimes to keep kids in tune with that, and sometimes I send that message to my kids at home after a park game. Well, if you got to realize, girls, you got to, because the 2 older ones are playing a little more competitive right now. Is you're not coach doesn't see something, you better support the guys that are girls are out there.
Absolutely.
So
talk about your team a little bit. Yeah, the one thing I do like about your team, besides its competitiveness, is your balanced scoring. Yeah, I think you got like 4 guys that are averaging between 8 and 11 points, and you got options out there. It's not like a one-man band, but the kid that really intrigues me is Kai Days. He's a sophomore, and I think he's what now? What 6'8" maybe?
6'7".
6'7", 6'8". And I heard he went to, I think it was John Lucas's camp this summer.
Big man's camp.
And did real well. How is he progressing as a sophomore now?
I think his freshman year, you can't trade experience in the minutes played. I know we struggled as a team.
Sure.
And that's tough, I think, for a freshman. I had 2 freshmen that started for me last year, Prentice McGowan and Kai Days. And
I forget about, he started too.
And in my mind, we're trying to produce something as they grow.
Sure.
And, what are they going to look like by the time they're seniors,
Right.
And, when you talk about classes coming in.
Right.
That sophomore class that came in for me was like a team, you look and say, that's going to be a special class.
That's going to be good. Yeah.
And I look at the growth that Kai has made from his freshman year to his sophomore year, and it's going to be scary good, with the continued progress if, he has that development from his sophomore, junior, senior. It's going to be a pleasure, and I'm privileged to coach him.
Oh yeah, talking about Bucks fans looking forward to the Greek Freak being something special.
Mm-hmm.
I understand Kai Days' little brother is what, in 7th grade?
Yeah.
So he could be a freshman when Kai's a senior.
Oh yeah.
And I think his little brother is taller than him right now, right?
He is.
So you might have twin towers there by the time he arrives.
It's going to be there's some big kids, and I know competitive in the family. I know that big brother is still big brother,
right?
And little brother is going to get what big brother has.
Sure.
No, what a great family, and you want to talk about complete package. With the new NCAA rules coming up. Grades are going, you got to be, that much higher.
Oh, absolutely.
I had heard currently half of Division I basketball players right now would not qualify with the new standards that are going to come out in 2 years.
Is that right?
And, Kai, remarkable in the classroom, 4.0 student, taking Chinese. And that's something that, probably people step back and say, the kid's taking Chinese, and like I said, that's when you talk about work ethic, attitude, leadership, and what you can do. He's a well-rounded kid, and I think whichever college decides to take him and wherever he chooses to go, it's going to be a win-win situation.
Good package. A couple other guys real quickly. Aaron Samuels, I think, is having a real nice year. Kennedy has played real well, and who am I missing?
Jarvis McGee.
Jarvis McGee, yeah. I mean, all these guys are. The game I saw looked pretty solid. I mean, pretty good.
They did a nice job as freshmen. You see them grow. They had a huge, JV year, and I understand some schools have some of their, younger kids go to varsity right away.
Sure.
But this group, they were used to winning, as they were younger, and that was a tough year for us as a junior class. But I think again, the experience that they learned from last year, as well as coming back. Your last shot to do something as a senior. Like I said the other night, I think we had 5 almost in double figures.
Right.
I'm never worried about scoring. I tell the kids, I don't care who scores. Share the ball, play hard, play some defense, try to create some offense off your defense. Good things will happen. And the kids, like I said, we had a tough loss. And I knew it was going to be a tough game to come back with ITA after case. My concern as a coach is, is it going to be a letdown?
Sure.
And we started out a little sluggish, but the fight was there, which is important. And I took the loss as, I still could go to bed at night. There's been years in past where if we lost, it was like, man, you don't sleep at all.
Right.
And not just because one of the kids is kicking me. This was over the game. But I can take away that, our kids are fighting. There's no nasty attitudes. It's like, hey, guys, let's get back on board, refocus. We got a long break. We don't play until January 7th.
Oh, wow.
So hopefully get some rested legs and come back and start 2014 on a good note.
He is Coach Betker from Racine Park. He's been our guest today on Sports Junkies, the Preps Basketball Edition. Our thanks to you, Coach, for coming in.
No problem.
He is Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer from Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. We'll see you next time right here on Sports Junkies at RacineSportsZone.com.